Pat, you are live.
Welcome, diveLIVE family, to another dive here at Casuarina Point, Grand Cayman. Today I am just out the front, directly out the front actually, of Don Foster's Dive Centre here on the western side of Grand Cayman Islands, just out of Georgetown. I am Pat, and I'm going to be your underwater marine biologist today. We have Rian on camera, and Lauren is your surface biologist today. I am currently at 8 metres depth, so about 30 feet down. And today I'm going to be looking for a species of turnip. Doesn't matter what, loggerhead, hawksbill or green, I'll be happy with any. And also I'm going to be looking out for a moray eel under the ledges here. So I'm going to swim out this way and head out a bit deeper, and I'll hand it up to Lauren.
Hi everyone, a very good morning to you. So as Pat mentioned, we're outside Don Foster's this morning, and it's another glorious day weather-wise. It looks really beautiful down there, Pat, and I have to say I'm jealous it's not me. So please do send in your questions to any of the channels from Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. But if you are on Twitter, make sure you use that hashtag diveLIVE. So Pat, can I put in my request today?
Yeah, what would you like to see, Lauren?
I would like to see a squibbled filefish.
Yeah.
Of course, a turtle, and maybe a ray.
Oh, okay. It's a hard list, but I'm determined to find them for you.
So the colour today is really, really beautiful. We can see things really clearly, and we can see those little bits of plankton floating by, but the visibility looks better than yesterday, is that right?
Yeah, definitely a lot better than yesterday. So, yesterday we had 10, maybe 15 metres of visibility, so that's about 30 to 40 feet. Today, I would say I can see about 20, maybe even 25 metres ahead. So that is about 70 to 80 feet in front of me. So the visibility today is a lot better than yesterday. Now we have had some pretty calm weather in the last 24 hours, so I believe that would be what is contributing.
Yeah, I can really see the visibility is good. And we do have Dale asking, do we ever see octopus? Now, everybody wants to see an octopus, including me, including Pat, including Rian, but they are notoriously difficult to find. Pat did manage to spot one just a few days ago, but just as he spotted it, it retreated into the little crack that it was hiding from. So I can assure you we will also try our best to look out for octopus.
Oh yes, that would be the holy grail, I believe, at the moment, would be finding an octopus whilst alive. They are incredible at camouflage, octopus, and not only that, they can change their shape as well. They really are truly shapeshifters, and they can use this to camouflage, and also their malleable body, they can really just hide into anything. They can squeeze themselves into unfathomable little gaps.
Yes, but to be honest, we have actually been finding a lot of new species on our recent dives. So whether me and Pat are becoming more eagle-eyed or we're just getting more lucky, every dive we've had the past few days, we've sighted something new. We do have a request for a trumpet fish, so that should also be quite easy for you to find. If you do see one, let's point it out. So yeah,
Can you hear me? Pat, are you able to hear me? Leanne, can you please put the camera on Pat? Okay, can you check your cable please? We believe there's an issue. Are you able to check the connector cable?
Hi everyone, Lauren is back from the surface. So hopefully you can all hear me. We have had some technical issues. Pat will not be able to talk, but I will help assist with all the questions from the surface. So Pat, can we check in with you? Let us see your beautiful face and give us an air check, please. So that was Pat telling us he has 100 bar left. So he still has lots of time left with us. So maybe if Pat can start to point things out, we can direct more of a conversation and I can try to answer your questions. I'm not sure what depth they are at, but I can see the sandy patch up ahead, which means they are nearing the bottom of the reef. Oh, and Rianne has spotted us a white spotted filefish. So right now we are not able to see the white spots. They are not turned on, if you like, but this is a white spotted filefish. And if we watch it closely, we might be able to see it turn those spots on. So these animals do not change color, if you like. They can just lighten or darken pigments of their skin using chromatophores, which make you think that they are changing color. So this is a filefish. So can we maybe get a size estimate from you, Pat? I think this looks smaller than the normal filefish, but obviously I am not underwater. So you can see it's using its top and bottom fin in an undulating manner, and that is how they swim. So they're quite recognizable from this. Oh, thanks, Pat. Yes, it's definitely smaller than the adult white spotted filefish. So it's got some growing to do. And these filefish are in the Monocantheridae family. So what that means is it translates to one thorn. So this is called this because it does have a spine on the top of its head, which it can make go erect, and it will be locked into place by another spine. And this is used to lock it into place into cracks and crevices in the reef when it is hiding. So hi everyone, thank you for saying hi. I will do my best to direct the dive from the surface, so Pat and Rianne can just point out things that they think we will find interesting. So they're obviously hovering above the reef crest at the moment, and we're getting really good visuals on all the fish just hovering above the coral. Pat is pointing to something, so let's see what it is. So Yambi Bike was, oh, is this an urchin? Yes, it seems to be an urchin with lots of tiny little micro shrimps floating in front of it. If we can just zoom out a little bit, Rihanna, I'll maybe get a better idea of what it is. And yes, this is the long-spined urchin. So these are actually in the echinoderm group, which means they will have a symmetry of 5, and they are very closely related to sea cucumbers, sea stars, sand dollars. So we can only see the spines right now, but there is actually a globular body, and that is called a test. So you have the test, which is the body, and it will contain the mouth, which is surrounded by all these long, sharp spines. Now, the word urchin is actually a very old word for hedgehog. So I'm sure I don't need to explain why it's been called an urchin. It is completely covered in these spines. So they are actually a really important species to the reef because they are a herbivore and they graze algae off the reefs. So they're very important in controlling the algae overgrowth. So they don't look it, but they will move at night time and they will eat the algae off the reefs. So if you are a predator of the sea urchin, you must have adapted some sort of mechanism, some sort of improvement in how you can actually eat these animals. So maybe special teeth or special pincers, or just a special way to avoid getting injured by these spines and actually eating the body of the animal, called the test. So Richard, that's really interesting. In German, urchins are actually called sea hedgehogs. Oh, I didn't know that. I studied German a long time ago at school, but thank you for that. So I am just trying to go through your questions to answer as many as possible before the time runs out. And Yambi Bike, just to go back to the filefish which was on the screen, yes, they're very closely related to triggerfish. They're distant cousins, so they're the sort of next door family, and they do look like triggerfish in their body shape, their fin movement, and of course triggerfish will have a trigger on their head, but theirs is actually made up of 3 spines. It's a lot more complex, whereas the filefish just have one main spine and a very, very small spine for locking it into place. So well spotted, they're very closely related to triggerfish. Oh, I think we have an anemone and a Christmas tree worm up ahead of us. So much choice. So Rianne's given us a good view of the sea anemone, and it's quite a mouthful, but this is actually in the same family as coral and jellyfish. So these anemones, as you can probably already imagine, will deliver a painful sting when touched. Now to us, it will probably just be a sting that we would need to treat with some sort of vinegar. However, to a very, very small fish, this could be fatal. So each little tentacle here is filled with gas at the tips, and that's why they float. Maybe if Rianne can zoom out a little bit, we would get a better look. Yeah. And each tentacle contains nematosis, and these are stinging cells, the same as in jellyfish. So therefore, we must always avoid these animals, but they don't actually move. So their body is designed in such that they have a foot, which they're able to stick onto rocks in crevices, and tentacles which surround a mouth. And they are carnivores, so they can't move, so they do have to eat whatever floats their way. So whatever drifts past in the water column, they will have to snatch up, as they're not able to actively go hunting for their food. And we can see beautiful staghorn coral in front of us right now. This is Acropora, and if Rianne is able to go closer to it, you are able to see what it looks like when Acropora actually dies. Many of you ask, how do you know if coral's alive or not? So here, yes, we can see there's beautiful, live, thriving Acropora cervicornis, which is a staghorn coral. And at the bottom, yeah, that's perfect, Rianne, you can see the old skeleton of the coral that has died, and it's now overgrown by algae. So this is how we know when coral's alive or not. When it's alive, you get to see the beautiful polyps. Each little wart-like bump there is an individual animal called a polyp. So we're getting a great view right now of the alive coral compared to completely dead coral. So the structure is still there. Even although it's dead, you can see it's still a structure, but this will eventually break down. It will kind of erode, and after some time it will form sand. So that was a great view we got. So Pat is letting us know that he's now on 60 bar. So he will go a little bit shallower to do his safety stop. He's blown you all a big kiss and he's telling you that he really enjoyed the dive. So we'll just follow him up a little bit until he's at 50 bar so he can let us know. So we are nearing the end of the dive. Now we do really apologize that it was silent at the start, but we did see lots of things. I got my scribbled filefish. We got a juvenile lionfish, and then we got an adult lionfish. We had a Graysby's grouper and a white-spotted filefish. Even a black durgan and some rock beauties. So those are the fish that we did sight today. So it's not been a bad dive at all. And in front of us, we have a beautiful mated pair of 4-eyed butterfly fish. Oh! So you can see that big false eye, that big black dot towards the end of the body. When they're a juvenile, they actually have 2 black dots, which is where the name 4 eyes come from, because there's 2 on either side. But once they start to grow towards adulthood, they lose one of those dots and they just have 1 remaining. So thank you for all your comments and compliments that you all enjoyed the dive. I am glad. And many of you were mentioning that famous rooster fish. Well, allow me to introduce Derek, our little rooster that has joined us, who became part of the team, and he regularly likes to talk during our broadcasts, and that is what you can hear. So we can just see a huge array of fish ahead of us. A parrotfish there. I think that's a striped parrotfish. And we have lots of chromis. So you can see they don't venture too far from the reef. So they're hovering above the reef. They're plucking out food from the water column. But once they go too far, it's dangerous territory for them. So they just hover above it, and once they sense danger, they can just retreat back into the coral reef. So Richard has mentioned those pesky damselfish, and yes, they are always ready to attack us. One attacked me the other day when I was trying to take a photo of it, so it's not dangerous and it didn't inflict any injury. But for being such a small fish, they're full of confidence and they always love to tell us to go away. Extremely territorial little fish. And there's a damselfish ahead right now. So it's kind of looking at us. I wonder if it'll be brave enough to tell us to go away. This is the bi-colour damselfish. It's not quite as brave as some of the other ones. Nice capture, Rian. We can see that damselfish quite closely, and this is the one that is extremely territorial, and it might even tell us to go away. It looks a bit shy today, which is unusual. Normally they're biting at the camera telling us to leave. Oh, it is telling us. So by facing us and moving its pectoral fins and opening and closing its mouth, that's a territorial display. So Pat, please do let us know once you reach 50 bar. Everyone loves hearing Derek, so we will show you Derek one day. But of course, he's not underwater with us. Oh, another black durgan. So a few people mentioned earlier, is it a triggerfish? So yes, the name is black durgan, durgan with a D, and it is part of the triggerfish family. So you can actually see that trigger just resting on the top of its head. It's not erect at the moment, but you can see that little bump on the head is the trigger. Now it looks completely black, but as you get closer to this animal, it does have quite intricate, beautiful markings on its face, which are normally slightly orange. And obviously right now it is being cleaned. There's some cleaner fish. So when they hover above the reef like that, they're normally signaling to the cleaner fish to come and clean them. Cleaning stations are normally very active in the morning. A lot of fish wake up and decide that they need to take their bath. So where else would they go other than a cleaning station? So when the light shines, we were actually able to see that pattern on the black durgan. It isn't completely black. It would be great if it put its trigger up. Now there is a famous triggerfish known as the Titan triggerfish, who will put its trigger up when it's ready to attack you. It's a very aggressive fish, and luckily they don't have them here, because it's literally what my nightmares are made of. But the other triggerfish don't tend to use their trigger in this way. It doesn't seem to be a threat or a warning. They solely use it for locking themselves in crevices at night time. Oh yeah, you can see perfectly. Well done, Rianne. That coloration and pattern on its head. Slightly orangey and yellow. And they rarely move that tail fin. They normally propel themselves through the water from the top and bottom fins, which is the dorsal and anal fin. And they move this in an undulating manner. The tail fin acts more of a rudder to stabilize them and change their direction. I think this is the best footage we have of a black durgan so far. They normally don't hang around for long, but I think this one is trying to figure out the best place to go to get cleaned. Oh, Pat is showing us with his pressure gauge that he has reached 50 bars. So I'll let him say goodbye. Say goodbye to everyone, Pat. Oh, bye from Rian. And bye from Pat. Pat, are you there? You want to say goodbye? Okay, so we will end the dive. Thank you so much for everyone for your support, and we do apologize once again about the tech issues. So see you again shortly.